Fate wrote Egypt's history and the makers of its civilization. The ancient civilization drew the lines of its future, an immortal nation. She achieved the miracle of communicating with the universe. Between the past and the future, miracles, treasures, predictions. And the symbols of the Ankh key, the key to life, the symbol of energy and power, symbol of reproduction, breasts and greatness symbol. The Nile in the abundance of crops from the delta to Aswan in anger, revolution, disobedience, and flood. Egypt, the great immense Egypt, has no escape from its ring. The gateway to advancement and upliftment. Dependent on this key are the witnesses of lost glory, the sounds of pain and the cries of the hungry, signs of the energy of the universe captured by nature and opens the walls of historical memory. We'll tell the story in a different way and tell you where history ends and where it meets the future. To the future. About 7,000 years ago, there were homes and farms on both sides of the Nile. Strong, dark men, with their hands in a mullet, living in small kingdoms scattered along the Great River. Over the years, the people of the north came together and became a country, and the people of the south became their own country. Until in 3200 BC, there was one. His name was Mina, and he had strength, determination, management, and politics, so he was able to unite the two countries, and Egypt became one country from then on, 5,000 years ago. The first dynasty and the appearance of the same city of magic and beauty, and the first and largest stone building appeared in the world. The Pyramid of Djoser listed great secrets, but we only know a few of them, and have buried most of them. We fought and broke many of them, and refused to deal with many of them because they contrary to our new beliefs and the idolatry of ancient Egypt. Was an excuse to marginalize the bone, even though it's a miracle. Believe it or not, the appearance of an Ankh key with the unification of Egypt resembles the cross, but has nothing to do with it. It predates the cross by at least 1,000 years. The top piece of the bone is circular. It's shaped like a man with his arms outstretched and a huge ball on his head. Ancient Egypt is the land of secrets. Of it today are the results, and manifestations are the remnants. Relics that the ancient Egyptians decided to be immortal and reach and remain because they are the guide and the way to the future. The first thing to realize is that the word pharaoh does not describe ancient Egypt. One of them was a pharaoh, because all the murals, obelisks, and inscriptions do not contain the word pharaoh. But after Islam, the name pharaoh was generalized to all the kings of Egypt. The word pharaoh is mentioned in the Quran 74 times, but without the definite article. It means there is only one Egyptian king, named Pharaoh. The word pharaoh and his pharaohs in the ancient scriptures. As far as I know, and according to the statements of the scholars of Egyptology, the history of ancient Egypt is the face of the great civilization of all mankind. What the ancient Egyptians, whom I call them pharaohs, is an advancement in the level of, in the history of human civilization. The deep, central secrets have not yet been revealed. Not even the secret of the construction of the pyramids is known today. Analyses and hypotheses, some of which are more plausible, some are based on papyrus drawings, frescoes, and ancient documents, but no one knows exactly what was going on, and no one knows exactly what was meant by all these marvelous monuments. And the time has not yet come for us to know the hidden truth behind these great works. Inscriptions on the statue of Ramses II that stands in the square, the tombs of the Valley of the Kings, the smoothness of the granite, the miraculous geometry, the fearlessness with which he lifted the stones, the secrets of the Sphinx, all of which confirm that the tombs have not all been uncovered, the tunnels are not finished, and the walls are still carved. Where is the puzzle? What do we want to get out of all this? To the Ankh key, the key to life in the afterlife. We need to understand what all this has to do with the events, situations, and conversations that are taking place today. The connection between all these details. Folks, ancient Egyptian civilization reached to a stage of development in which it surpassed the human consciousness and mental experience in its ancient era. Until today. And the proof is that we still don't. There is no agreement on the theories of the construction of the pyramids, nor is there an origin of the Ankh key or its meaning, and we have no explanation for the ability of the ancient Egyptians to sandblast marble and granite. They didn't have motors in their day. Electric motors to spread the stone and smooth it like the skin of a child's hand. Superior ability. Nor did they have satellites, or helicopters, or drones to monitor the work from above to make sure the dimensions of the pyramids, of the pyramid square base, nor the timing of the sun and floods, even the hypothesis of the branches of the Nile, if they existed, and later branches were used to lift the stones above the water. I think logically the water level could have been raised by any old method to a height of 146 meters. At the top of the Pyramid of Khufu, and above that, a stone, weighing 3 tons. The smallest stone in the pyramid weighs a ton. A miracle. No less great is the Egyptian. Geometric and cosmological calculations, physicists, and researchers in electromagnetic waves such as light waves or X-rays and the like, have found that there's a correlation between the structure of Egyptian buildings with cosmic rays, magnetic fields, and gravitational attraction were connected to the cosmos and space. The only explanation for this idea is that the ancient Egyptians understood time. Time is the only reactor in existence. If it weren't for time, we wouldn't know space, motion. There is a great secret that Egypt hides among the pyramids, between the columns of its temples, between the walls and deep chambers. They have left us with many symbols, writings, and texts, teachings and ideas, some of which are considered. Specialists consider the spells of such a great civilization is not. It has spells, it has secrets that we won't know until to solve the equation of time in the Egyptian event. The key of the Nile, the key of Ankh, is one of the most important necklaces that accompanied the development of Egyptian civilization from the first dynasty to today. The big secret in this key is the spiritual meeting between the gods, Isis and Osiris, the union of the feminine and masculinity, the energy of the sun, the energy of the moon, the flooding of the river, all to reach the idea of immortality. And eternal life, as an ancient Egyptian thought, is not just wishful thinking and mummify the bodies of kings in the hope of returning back to life. There's a secret we won't be able to know until we reach the wormhole to the future. And that's not just a passing thought. Everyone who's ever been to space knows the meaning of time, the history of Egypt, past and present. And what's to come is not beyond the meaning of the key to truth and life after the end of the Pharaonic Age. Kingdoms and nations came and went, but Egypt knew neither power nor invincibility, power and strength only. The closer the king is to Egypt, and the farther the ruler is from its historical civilization, conspiracies, and intrigues, assassinations, battles, and calamities never. There's no real stability as long as there is discord and separation between Egypt and Egyptians. Egypt is the only Arab region where people live in a real national state. 5,000 years ago, after the pharaohs, came the Romans, Persian, Greek, and then the Arab conquerors. Then came the role of the Akshidians, then the Fatimid Caliphate. The Fatimid Caliphate lasted 200 years. And the Tawilis, the Ayyubids, the Mamluks, the Ottomans, and the French campaign. And then Muhammad Ali Pasha. Until Muhammad Naguib's turn, he stayed 2 years and Abdul Nasser took over. May God have mercy on all of them. They ruled one land known by its borders and history, and its people called Egypt. And Egyptians are the children of Egypt. They are simply Egyptians. They are only Egyptians, whose origin is Egyptian. Neither Arab, nor Amazigh, nor Greek. They are only Egyptians, that is. Yes, they have blends from here and from there, but the original Egyptian character. Then they are still there. See Egyptians' features. And all the presidents who ruled Egypt after the revolution, they all have their roots, are clearly from ancient Egypt. The original Egypt with the key to life is associated with immortality. Egypt has a secret spring of life. Coordinates, it gathers the energy of greatness. Makers of Arab and foreign creators did not show their art and genius only after they lived in Egypt. Despite fatigue, labor, slavery, and feudalism, they dug the canal twice and built high monuments. They fought with all the countries that ruled over their land. They carried blood for themselves and others. That's why Egyptians were often exploited by the occupier or the ruling sultan in the past. Something called the Egyptian tendency to be nostalgic for each other. The next few years will witness the majority siding with deep, authentic Egypt. The great original, the energy that is eternal and unquenchable, is still heading to Sohag, Amarna, and Asiut. The marvels created by the ancient Egyptians have enough spirit for thousands of generations until the Renaissance. They were playing games to build these magnificent buildings. It wasn't in vain. There's a role, a power, and a rise is coming. Just wait and keep working. Work and preserve every piece, every wall. The pharaohs left because they worked for the future, Egypt, and left you a legacy of 7,000 years. Open the doors to the energy of the mind for the nations who penetrated the horizon and built their souls by investing minds 5,000 Egyptian years with the mind. The dream is realized. Imagine a nation that had such a great impact. What will her future look like? Her future, if she continues on the same path. If you see yourselves as descendants of the Egyptians, continue to build the civilization he left behind. By Amos, Ramesses, Akhenaten, Amenhotep, and Tutankhamun. Godspeed. Peace.